Hi, Jen.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I am fantastic today. Like everything was going against me to say that I was not today, and I refuse. I rose my frequency as Nancy Orlin Weber told me to, and I've had a great day. It's been insane. Guys, welcome. Welcome back, or welcome for the first time. This is the Calling the Forgotten Files. I'm one of your hosts, Shannon Rogers, and we have Jennifer Lee, the wonderful Jennifer Lee.
Hello.
And yeah, what a day. Like I even literally told my boss I'm taking 2 hour mental PTO. I'm done. Like I'm done for the day. Don't ask me why, just it's gonna happen. They knew why though.
That's important. I think that we have to have that.
Yes, and so I used that time to take my mom to go get a pedicure, and we had a great time. So
Hi, Lauren.
I need to get the comments up. So whew, okay, so I do want to say, guys, that it was a crazy week because I know we talked last week about we were going to have the walking monk on. He had to travel out of the country and wasn't able to make it. And so then we had a couple other people within the schedule conflicts and everything. So someone had messaged us very kindly, and we were like, absolutely. So we got Jill Shelley on, and I'm so interested in conversating with her and getting to know who she is, and kind of seeing what's what. But yeah, it's a crazy. And also, I do want to throw out really quick. Beth Allen, we had her scheduled almost a month ago, and she had been very, very, very sick. But I'm very proud to announce that Beth will be on next Thursday at 6 p.m. Central Time. So it's already set in stone. Flyers made. I'm dropping it tonight. And that is my soul sister. So that's very known. So
good. And Happy New Year. And Happy New Year to everybody watching. Like, I was just thinking, we haven't actually chatted since then.
Yeah.
It's like, we haven't.
Happy New Year.
Yeah, Happy New Year.
I don't have all the creepy tattoo scars on for theatricals. I don't have all the lights on and the strobe light that was giving me seizures in the background on with the Bee Gees music. But no, I got the lights on tonight, and it's been a really good day. And I really am excited that we are talking with Jill tonight, and I can't wait to bring her on, which I'm about to do in a second. So here we go.
Let's do it.
Hi, Jill.
Hi.
Hello, Jill.
How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for having me on.
No, thanks for coming on. I know it was so last minute because we had, you sent us a message and we talked about it. Definitely I'll send you some dates. I'm like, hey, can you last minute come on? And you were like, absolutely. And I'm like, I love her already. And you're from Minnesota. So that's a win-win with me because I love people from Minnesota. The nicest, kindest people that I've ever encountered, especially with my job. The people I talk to, it really excites me when I can talk to a friendly person. So Jill, tell us about yourself, like who you are, what you do.
Well, I've just been somebody who is one of those old, weird, creepy kids that like spooky things that most normal kids didn't like. So I was always kind of fascinated by ghosts and the paranormal and that kind of stuff. At my grandmother's house, my first experience, I guess I would say, there was a room that she had that none of us kids really liked. It was always dark. It was cold. You just kind of felt like somebody was staring at you. I didn't like being in there. If I had to go in there, I'd run in, run out. One particular night, though, my parents were upstairs sleeping, and I was sleeping in a different room. And I just woke up, and I heard footsteps coming out of that room, and it stopped in front of my door. And my back was towards the door. So you could kind of feel like somebody was almost staring through you, just this intense light. And I was really young then, so I was not going to turn around and look at this thing. I was like, oh my God, what is going on? Then it kind of took a big sigh, turned around, walked back into the other room. I could hear my parents snoring next door, so I knew they weren't up. My grandmother sleeps downstairs. And I just happened to ask her and talk about it the next day. And she was like, oh my gosh, honey, that's just a ghost and he's not going to hurt you. And I was like, whoa, way religious grandma here is just kind of blowing this off. It's just a ghost. And so I just kind of just got really at that point, I really wanted to know more about ghosts and spirits and the whole other side. So I just spent a lot of time, doing a lot of research. And then with the advent of television coming out with the ghost shows, I was like, oh my gosh, you can do this for real. And so that's when I started doing some investigation. It was about in 2010 where I met a great group of people who were really interested in the paranormal, and we formed our group St Croix Paranormal, and we just started traveling all over the U.S. Investigating well-known haunted locations in search of answers.
And that's completely awesome. I love that. I totally get traveling across the US and just exploring different haunted locations and connecting with spirit. But you also happen to own a haunted location.
Yeah, I ended up doing that in 2018 by going around to all these other haunted locations was what gave me the idea of purchasing my own place. So kind of came across the Boyd House. I looked at other places to go because nobody like advertises like, hey, my house is haunted. You want to buy it?
Right.
So it was kind of like, I would just look at the MLS listings and kind of get a feel for it. And I wouldn't say I'm psychic or anything, but I do kind of have a little bit of like, I think so. A little bit of intuition there. And I know as an investigator, like I can feel them around me, but that's about like my sensitivity level. And so anyway, we had gone to other places and investigated, very minimal. I wasn't interested. But when I came across the Boyd House, on the internet, it was kind of like when you're looking at the pictures, I was like, oh my God, this is the one. Like you just kind of knew that this is it. And I almost immediately kind of became obsessed with it in a way. I kept looking at the pictures before I went down and looked at it. I was just kind of like, I know this is going to be it. So I went down there and looked at it the first day with one of my teammates, Donna, and we were waiting outside for the realtor. And I just kind of got this feel like something was staring at you. And I mentioned it to her, and she's like, yeah, through the attic window. I didn't want to say, but I could feel it. And then when we went in for our walkthrough, you could feel like somebody was kind of staring from a far away because nobody had been in the house for like a year. It was sitting vacant. And but you could just feel like someone was like staring off from you from the side, like what are you doing here? Who are you? And we put out some equipment. One of my REM pods went off within 8 minutes of being there. And then I was using the spirit box, and a woman came across and said, who are you? And there was just a couple other things. So I was like, well, do I kind of trust on that? So I reached out to a psychic medium that I really trusted. And she's like, oh my gosh, yeah, there's 6 spirits there. And she just started telling me all this stuff that was going to happen and things that she was saying. And as I got to know the house, everything she told me came true. She was like dead on for absolutely everything. But then I thought, well, should I trust her? I know I'm going to ask the previous people because, they lived there for 30 years. They
Right.
sure
They
would
would
have
know.
done something. But it was an older couple. So, back, that age, they're kind of like, if you talk about ghosts, you're crazy. So they were real hesitant at first. They kind of, and I quote this from the realtor. She said, the woman said, oh, I always thought that house was really funny. So, but she said that she would hear old time music playing. And then she reached out to her children who, now are grown, of course, but they said, oh yeah, we had seen a man quite often in the house. And then as I have, since I've owned the house, the children have come forward and told me all kinds of stories as they were growing up. And, their friends who still, it's a very, very small town. There's only like 170 people. Most of them, a lot of them are original people.
Oh, wow.
And, they grow up there, they stay there, a lot of them. And yeah, just people coming forward, telling stories when they've been in the house and slept over with them when they were kids, and they were being touched and just all kinds of stuff. So it was just really kind of cool to get that validation too.
So you're it's in a very, very small town of 170 people. I have to ask this because I do encounter this a lot, especially when I was traveling doing my events and stuff at locations, that a lot of the small town people are not okay with it. How did the town react that you were wanting to make it a venue?
Well, a lot of them were like, it's not haunted. They did, non-believers. I still get a lot of non-believers, but I have a few people that do believe. It's kind of funny that the great grandson of the old owners, which were Fred and Minnie Eckhart, who we believe still haunt the house to this day, still lives in town, and he drives by and he loves to talk to the ghost hunting people that are there. So if they're outside, he'll swing by and stop and talk to them. And I hear from a lot of the teams that have come out, like they're like, oh gosh, so-and-so stopped by, or they saw that we were there. And so some of them embrace it, but a lot of them think it's just weird. So
I understand that so much.
So is it open to tour? Is it open to stay?
yeah, we don't do like any day tours or anything. So we just offer private paranormal overnight investigations.
Oh, okay.
So anybody can come. I mean, you don't have to be a paranormal investigator. You know, we welcome everybody. We actually do provide a little small, it's just stuff that I don't use pretty much anymore, or things that people have left behind. You know, so we do have some paranormal equipment available for those who don't have it. You know, real basic stuff like a K2 meter. We do actually have a spirit box people can use, a voice recorder, some motion detectors and things like that. So just real simple stuff, but yeah, just something so you're just not sitting in a house going, okay, let's wait for something to happen.
That's smart though, because equipment can get really expensive, and for that to just disappear, if you, like you said, some older stuff, it's not so, such a bad thing. But do you offer like overnight where people because when I quit doing my events, but I love places that at least would let you stay overnight and sleep until the morning, or that like they had bedding for you, because that kind of determined the way I would, schedule the event and everything. And do you have like beds, or how many?
Yeah, we are a fully functioning house. I do just have one bed available for people to sleep on, and we have couches and recliners too that people can crash on as well. But a lot of people just bring their own air mattresses and things
Exactly.
like that. So yeah, and I like to give people a lot of time. So I usually let people to come in at like 3 p.m. and then they can stay up till noon the next day. And I feel like that way you can get in, you can get your setup going, then you get some dinner, you do some investigating, and then you can catch a little sleep before you have to get up in the morning and go home. So yeah, we kind of give you quite a bit of time in the house.
Well, I wanted to peek into the history of the spirits of the location, and I told myself not to, because I want to ask you firsthand and find out. So like, do you have like a dominant spirit there that kind of controls everything or leads everything, or is more, predominant than the other ones?
Yeah, we have the main ones we have is Fred and Minnie Eckhart, which I mentioned earlier. So they were the first, not the first owners, because the house was built in 1901 and they moved in 1912. So they're the ones that we have the most history on. But they both passed away in the home, and they actually held Minnie's funeral in the home for 3 days. They were very well known in the community. So back in the day, the town of Boyd was a very Wild West booming town. They had over 500 people. They had hotels and bars and restaurants. They had a movie theater. They had all kinds of stuff. And so the Eckarts owned a general store in town. So they had they sold more of the high end stuff. So they did the, fur coats and the fancy foods. But also Fred was on the fire department, the school board, and his father and brother built one of the churches in town as well. So very, very well respected man. So I kind of feel that that's why he particularly stays, I think, for the love of the community, love of the house, and his wife died there. 2 of their children have actually passed away in the home. One was infancy, and then one was, I believe he was about 3. He choked to death. And then I think I know we have some older children there, probably, between 8 and 11-ish. I don't know where they came from, because they don't fit, anything that I personally know of. But we also have in the house too, we've brought it in and tried to bring it back to the 1900s. So of course we have a lot of antique furniture, a lot of antique things. And then we've also purchased supposed haunted items and dolls and stuff that we've put into the house too. So there's just a lot of variance. And I also think just doing paranormal investigation is creating an energy for things to come by, because we have had several times, like either on the spirit box or my friends doing an Estes, and they'll be like, oh, just passing by, that kind of thing too. So
yeah.
And it's also right. The railroad track runs right behind the house property. So I feel like there's a little energy there. And also the house the town was right on the Sioux Dakota reservation line back in the day as well. So I'm sure there's a lot of stuff that happened that never got recorded in history. So as far as we go back, we know that the land was owned by the railroad up in 1889, and that's as far back as we go.
So you talk about the town, how it used to be kind of bustling for back in that time. Because I'm also like an urban explorer. It's like, is the town, a lot of those buildings and structures still there, even though the town is so small?
Yeah, that's, I mean, just the main drag of the town is because I'll see pictures from the 1900s to what it looks like today, and I can see, what they are now.
Right.
Like I said, right now, I think there's a bar, cafe, the town hall, and the restaurant. That's about it. So it's we don't even have a grocery store. There's no gas station.
Right.
There's nothing.
The
But
big
yeah,
old houses are
it
there,
looks, it's almost like if you put them side by side, because I kind of did a little mini documentary on the house after I bought it, and I have a picture of the town back in the black and white, and then I just happened to be shooting the town during the day of, and it was 4th of July and nobody was in town. It really looked like nobody was there, but side by side, I'm like, it's like color black and white, it was just kind of weird, take out the hitching post for the horses, and
That's always intrigued me. I've got I'm very nostalgic about history and just the memories and the history, because there's so much energy that is left in places. Even if it wasn't traumatic, there's so much energy, whether it be residual or whatever. It's it's connected to these locations, good memories and stuff. And I like to feel that.
Yeah. That's why I like, paranormal investigating. Like some of the places you go to, you just walk into like a big old building, and you're like, oh, you just feel the energy, and man, look, this was the place to be.
And sometimes just the history of the places, I think, is just amazing itself. It's just the history.
Yeah.
They were asking what town. What was the name again? I don't want to say it wrong.
It's Boyd, Minnesota.
Yeah, Boyd, Minnesota. Thank you. Sorry. And guys, if you wouldn't mind, give StreamYard permission to use your name. That way it won't show up as Facebook user and we can tell who's talking. If not, just type your name in before you make a comment. So that way we can address you and chit chat with you as well. But thank you guys for interacting also.
Jill, what kind of experiences have you had in the house yourself?
Oh gosh, lots of things. As far as, a lot of tons of paranormal equipment, that kind of thing. But like personal things, like I've had my shirt tugged on, just the intense feeling. I've heard my name being said out loud. I've heard a lot of things being said out loud. So a lot of audible voices. One of my favorite audible voices, I think, is my teammate Teresa and I was up on we have like a double staircase, so you can go up either side, almost like a servant's quarter kind of thing. And we also have a ledge with a stained glass window, and I put all of things that we bring Minnie. We like to bring their spirits gifts. And so all these little fun things I bring for Minnie. I had a fern on the shelf because I heard she loved ferns. And I was picking everything up and kind of dusting, and Teresa's in the kitchen. And all of a sudden I heard like 2 words, like electronic-y, but I didn't understand what it said. And for like that, how everything happens in a split second. But like I thought Teresa had turned on a spirit box or something. And seconds, just right after that, she goes, "What'd you say?" And I'm like, "I didn't say anything. I thought you said." And then she said, "No, I heard a woman say, 'Leave it.'" And I said, "Well, I was just picking up her fern. So she probably didn't want me, probably thought maybe I was taking it. I don't know." But that was just a really cool experience. But my husband has actually seen a woman on the staircase, and
dances.
And
sorry, that's in my head. She
dances.
There's someone dancing a lot, a woman.
Yeah, I could see that. And then he actually saw like a shadow. It was interesting because the weekend before, Teresa and I were down there, and we heard rustling in the bedroom. Now, usually when I'm sleeping, I don't get a lot of activity actually in the bedroom, because I heard Minnie likes to make sure I get enough sleep, because she appreciates that I clean the house and stuff. So, so I just, it was weird that I heard rustling and moving around, and then Teresa thought it was me. I thought it was her. We realized it wasn't. The following weekend, my husband actually heard somebody screaming at him. Like he thought I was yelling. It woke him up. And then he looked at the end of the bed, and there was like this figure standing, he almost kind of explained it like black cloaky, but like skeleton features on it. And when they locked eyes, it disappeared and went up into the ceiling. And he is not really a ghost person at all. Like he just comes along and helps me when I need help, but it's not his thing. So, of course, I'm jealous that he's seen 2 things, and I've been doing this for how many years and seen 1 shadow figure.
That's the way it goes.
It is.
Shadow figure. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that's it. 1 shadow figure. I've had many other experiences, but I've only seen 1 shadow figure in this whole.
I get plagued to the point of sleep deprivation at night from shadow figures. But Phoenix Jansen taught me how to set your damn boundaries. And so I set my damn boundaries, and sometimes I miss it, to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
But then every time I say that, it starts getting active. Jen can tell you, it starts getting active again. I'm like, no, I wasn't ready for all that. Like, I'll back up.
I don't miss it.
No, it's sometimes like, because sometimes you can put your boundaries up so strong that you can really limit what you're getting.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I've had to learn, the balance of, you know, give and take. And yeah.
Yeah. And I think they kind of know, because I'm like, a lot of times I'm like, oh, I'd love to see you. And then I always say, but don't do it at night when I'm sleeping.
They're like,
so I think they're like, okay. So like, even if I go to the bathroom in the middle of the night, I'm like, I'm not looking down the hall, not looking down the hall. But you'll hear stuff, like I'll hear like footsteps and bangs and knocks. And there was one morning I woke up, it was like really early in the morning. Everybody was sleeping downstairs. I was sleeping upstairs. Oh, well, Donna was sleeping upstairs too. But I woke up and I was like, oh, this is kind of nice. I'm just going to sit here and just lay in bed and just kind of enjoy the morning. You know, it's early. And all of a sudden I heard women talking down in the kitchen, which was right below me. And we have the old fashioned vents, so you can hear everything that's going on down there. And I was like, oh, the girls are up. Okay, well, I'm going to get up. So I go down there and they're all sleeping. So I was like, okay. So then I went down in the basement. I'm like, oh, I'm going to start cleaning up the equipment and stuff, get ready for get going home and stuff. And then I heard footsteps walking around up in the kitchen. And I'm like, oh, well, they're up now. They heard me. I go back upstairs. They're all still sleeping. I'm like, oh. And then all of a sudden I heard footsteps going on upstairs. I'm like, is Donna up? So then I kind of went halfway up the stairs and I could hear her still sleeping. I'm like, and then I just thought out loud, I go, you guys are really messing with me this morning. So it's like,
Do you hear, I want to ask you a question. Do you hear footsteps in that house that has, this is just what I'm hearing. I feel like there's a heavy gate, but kind of only on one side. And I feel like it's actually the right side that is heavier as they walk. Like I hear that when you're talking about the house, and it's actually in a hallway that I feel like has built-in shelves.
Yeah, I do agree. There is like the heavy, like you're saying, the one side, boom, like, you know, maybe they have a limp or just that's a just heavier step right on that one. There could have been shelves or something, but it is always up in the upstairs hallway.
Okay.
And that hallway is very, very active.
Does it have a closet in it?
There is a storage closet at the end of the hallway.
Okay. I'll take that. I just feel like there's some kind of storage shelves in there, in that hallway. That's where I hear the gate when you talk about it. That's where I hear those steps that sound uneven to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I know that closet, it's one of those old ones where it's just a really tiny door and then you kind of go in. So, and I think I was running the spirit box one time, or the portal, and they said, yeah, it was used for storage. So, and I'm sure they probably, you know, I mean, the house has been redone a little bit, so they certainly could have had shelves back in the day too.
And I see that figure as a male. And this is interesting because he wears black pants. Mm-hmm. The way that I see him, he definitely is in black pants. And I don't know why those are important, but he shows me black pants. I don't know if you know what that is, but I'm just going to leave that there because
I only have a few pictures of him. And, you know, back in the day, like they didn't have like t-shirts.
Right.
So every picture I have, he is wearing a suit, dark color, of course. Okay. I don't know exactly color because it's black and white. But
interesting.
Yeah.
I got my pants.
Well, that's like part of, and they're dressy, you know, they're just, it's
right.
Because that's what I see as I see him walk. I can hear him with that kind of step, and I see those pants. It's just interesting.
Yeah, now I should buy him a pair of pants because I buy his wife a lot of dresses and stuff.
He likes black pants.
So I'll bring you more if you.
Huh?
and say, I'll bring you some more pants when you just let us know your presence is here more.
Well, I did, and I don't know if he did, but somehow I just got this feeling that Fred liked birds for some reason. I knew he loved to garden because his grandson told me that he had a garden and he loved to garden and stuff.
Gross.
And I actually had one of the neighbors, her daughter is very sensitive, and she lives really close, so she can actually see the property. And I hadn't told her anything. Which the psychic before I purchased the house said that there's a man who loves to garden and he comes through the back door. So I had never mentioned that to anyone at all. And one of the town people had actually said that her child sees a man in the backyard gardening and he walks in through the back door. So that was like one of the things that was like, oh yeah, the psychic was right. And now somebody's actually concurring this that can actually see it. So it's just very interesting. But I thought he liked birds for some reason. I connected with him on that. So I was at an antique shop and I saw this bird statue and I ended up buying it and I put it on the piano and I was like, hey, if you like this, let me know. And that thing went on and off for like 3 hours.
Oh, wow.
I was like, well, I guess you like the birdies. So we always drive by our spirits gifts and stuff.
Did y'all bring the piano in, or was it there when you bought the location?
It was there when we bought the house, but it's not original to the house. I think the family who lived there for the 30 years had it, but we will hear notes being played on that piano, and other team members have heard that too.
This looks so cheesy, but I just see a female with like kind of like short brown curly hair just doing this. I know that it's been in my head. I can't get the visual out of my head since we first started talking about it.
Have you ever played the piano as a trigger?
Yeah, my friend Teresa, because I don't know how to play. I do the old just push buttons, but my husband can play and my friend Teresa can play. So I kind of feel like when they do play, it's like usually later that you will get the sound of the piano going on, And then I do know this was a really kind of fun thing. My another girlfriend of mine gave me a Victrola that was her grandmother's back in the day. So I brought that in and we had some records and we were playing the records and I was like, hey, everybody come down, dance. Let's listen to the music. Let's play. And we were using an SLS camera and I kept scanning around. I wasn't getting nothing. Then all of a sudden I got like this complete stick figure standing in the corner, tapping to the beat of that song.
I love the music.
Yep. And I was like, hey, how are you doing? We were talking. Then it disappeared and we kept playing. And the next thing you know, it was sitting in the chair with its leg crossed with one arm tapping to the beat of the music. And I was like, this is sweet. And then after a while it went away and I'm like, okay, let's go do something else, whatever. Well, the camera was still running and it was facing the Victrola and the lights were on. So we didn't even have it in the dark. And all of a sudden we looked over because I went to go get something from the room. And I'm like, oh my God, there's a stick figure standing at the Victrola. And it was looking for the crank because we had taken the crank out. And it was like, kept doing this. It kept looking like it wanted us to play more music. It was just great.
Oh, that's awesome. Like I said, I'm getting that they really love the music and festivities and gathering.
Yeah, they seem to like, and we've even played more recent stuff. Like they seem to really like Johnny Cash, and like that. So like we'll play that, and everything will start going crazy. So if we play like Merle Haggard, like some of the older country, they seem to really like that too because they passed away in like 58. So it's not like they were super old school, but they were born in the 1800s and lived until 1958.
So this isn't like a dark location. It's a fun location to interact and investigate.
Yeah, as far as I know, I've never had anything evil or malevolent. I have a few people that say they felt that, but I don't know. Maybe there was something they brought in. Maybe there was just something that day. I can't explain that. But me personally, in a majority, I think they're more intelligent. They do like interacting. We get a lot of EVPs in correlation to questions or EVPs of commenting on things that we're doing. Like one of my favorite EVPs is, like I said, when I come in, I talk to them just like I'm talking to you. There was one particular day I was just cleaning, and as I was cleaning, I was like, hey, I'm going to a wedding this week. And you ever been to a wedding? Because I really like, and I just kept, well, in between my talking, I kind of mumbled out what a woman said. But then when I had stopped, she said, "I'm trying to sleep." So I had, unfortunately, couldn't figure out what she first said, but it was a complete sentence, you know?
Yeah.
So like later when I heard that, I was like, oh, now I feel bad, you know? So,
Do you think like maybe this was a gathering place for it being, you know, for people to come together like on Sundays and just sit and hang out? Sorry, Jen.
I would think so, just being as they're so predominantly respected in the community, you know,
Right.
owning, you know, being part of the church, especially, they're very religious, you know, especially back in the day. And then, you know, just having just everything on the school board and the fire department and all that kind of thing. I have a feeling that they did that. They're really well known for their homemade bologna. So they would serve that to customers in the store. So it wouldn't surprise me that they, you know, had good meals and stuff. Because I remember asking their grandson, what was like your grandma's one of her favorite meals to serve? And he said we would have whole chicken dinners on Sundays. So, you know, it's kind of nice because knowing the grandson, I'm getting some really good personal stories that I'll never find in a book from him. And so I think that also helps me relate to the spirits as well. I think we have a pretty good rapport going with them, and I'll, you know, even if I'll find out something some other team had captured, and I'm like, oh, you know, I saw what you did with Bob the other day. He thought that was crazy. That was awesome, you know. So, you know, I just try to keep it, you know, pretty close with them anyway.
That's awesome. You have the family like you can connect with and talk and for validation and stuff like that. Because you always want to be, you know, because sometimes we can get things and our mind can wander, but if you can have validation on certain things, that's really awesome. And it's, you know, being more respectful to the spirits there as well.
Yeah, and we've gotten a lot of things, you know, EVPs or things on the spirit box that said Fred's coming. I'm Fred. I think one of my favorite spirit box things, which I love the spirit box, but I actually have Fred and Minnie's wedding picture hanging up in their bedroom. And I was running a spirit box and I pointed to the picture and I said, is anybody here, anybody in that picture? And as plain as day, it says, do you mean the Eckerts? So it was just amazing that it said that whole sentence and exactly, you know, you're not going to hear that person's name on the, you know, the radio and stuff. So
you're like, maybe.
Yeah. So, it's just a lot of fun, you know, it's fun too, because, you know, when you go to a paid location, you only have so many hours to make that contact and make that research. But because I can go there time and time again,
right.
They know me. I've heard my name being called. I've heard other people get EVPs saying, "Where's Jill?" You know, different kinds of things. So it's just they know who I am, and we have a great relationship. So I think I can get a lot more things done too. So
right.
That's cool. I would love to have a place like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's so amazing. The only thing I forgot is I have to maintain it. So I forgot there's a lot more work involved. So a lot of times I'm cleaning and doing stuff like when I get there and I can tell they're there, I can feel them, or maybe some equipment's going on. And I'm like, hey, glad you like that. I'll be right back. I'll be back in like 20 minutes. You know how it is. So it's like, you know, I gotta do some laundry. I'll be right back. So.
You're like, the spirits don't maintain? like
Yeah, but I think just having a place like that and the opportunity to build that rapport and build that relationship is amazing.
Yeah,
I would love that.
Yeah.
I want to welcome. I'm so sorry. I want to welcome any questions you might have for Jill and the location. Please send them our way. We will get to them. Okay. Sorry, Jill. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, I don't know where I was going with that.
Well, I was just saying sometimes it takes, you know, somebody's visiting a location or you are investigating it. It actually, it takes more than one time.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times it does if you want to build that relationship. And the more you kind of build that trust, then, you know, the more you learn. So yeah, I would love to have a place like that just to go to regular. Keep learning. Especially when they're like positive, when they're spirits like that.
Yeah, that's true. We've been to a few places where we're never going back just because it was too negative.
You said to where?
Because it was too negative. Like Whispers Estate was really negative.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, we've been there. Well, I actually went back a second time, but the girl who got thrown out of the closet, we tried to get her to come back, and she would not come back. And the energy level that night, because she was not there, was way different. But you're gonna get that, we've gone to places where you don't get anything all night and you're like, well, everybody else does. It's an off night, it's a quiet night, so we never say the place isn't haunted. It's just we were there on a good night.
I think they choose in a lot of situations if they want to interact with you.
Oh yeah, there's a huge difference. I even notice a difference too when we're missing some team members or certain, like for some reason, Teresa is a huge beacon. She's had many psychics come up to her and say they've never seen such a strong light in anyone. So we get so much more interaction with her being around when she's with us.
I like her.
Yeah, and we do Estes method with her, and I have never seen anyone Estes like she has. Like I'll watch other people's, and it's a few things here or there. We legitimately will have sometimes up to an hour conversation with a spirit, and it's even talking about things we're doing in the room, and she has no idea what's going on. We've gone as far as like one wanted a Coke, and so we had to go down and get a Coke for that spirit. So yeah. It's just insane the stuff that she does. And then just for fun, we had one of our other teammates. He took his mother and some coworkers down to the house. So we thought we'd do a live Zoom in with Teresa doing the Estes method, and she was dead on. It was just crazy. I couldn't believe from a remote access that she could have did that.
I like doing the Estes. I really, 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 really do. I tend to kind of just go in a different realm sometimes.
Mm.
Jen remembers one time I contacted her. We barely knew each other. I'm like, okay. I just started kind of fading during an Estes method in Salina, Kansas, down in the basement. And I was like, what I seen is insane. I know I wasn't drifting off, but I was almost in a dream state, but I was awake. And I got so caught up into the sweep. It put me almost into a trance, and they were showing me what they wanted me to see of what was there. And it was elemental completely. I was just like, and so I told Jen, she's like, I could see that. I'm like, oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you gotta be careful with people doing that. See, some people should not be doing it, or you have to have a strong support of, people watching you. So when they know to tap you out, like, hey, it's time to go. Like, this is not going well. We need to cut it off.
Right. And she really, we do tap her out, but she gets drained from it. Like she'll tell me afterwards, she's just drained. But it's interesting because she will almost take on the character of whoever she's talking to, and she'll even do movements and stuff like I said, and it's just like, it's just crazy. And
that's what happens to me when I do it. I can't do it for very long though.
Mm-hmm. And it doesn't work for me. Like I could put it on, I get nothing. Like I'll get a few words here or there. But yeah, I don't know. We try. She's like, why am I the only one? I'm like, because you're special.
I have told people, it's like, especially new people, trying to show them how to do it, especially when you're doing events and you're I want to try it. It's like, one thing is, don't force what you're hearing.
Right.
Do not force what you were hearing. Let it flow naturally. It sounds like a radio sweep. Don't say it. Mm-hmm. Unless you feel like it was intentional. Just literally be okay and just go with it. Like, cars on sale. Someone's selling a car. Like, no, that's a commercial. But that's one thing I kind of enjoyed a lot about doing those events is like, new people coming into the paranormal field and trying different things and how excited they got. Bruce and Norma are on tonight. Those are amazing friends of mine. And they said hi earlier. I hope they're still on, but I took them on their first events, and they do a lot of them that do because we love connecting, and they're so curious about it.
So Ted, I saw your post. Oh, trust me, I don't think that you're a loony. I saw your earlier comment, but I just don't know what a coach in 4 is. So I was a little bit lost because it says I've had a coach in 4 roar past me. I'm not entirely sure what that is. Do you know what that is?
I've been to Scotland, and I'm Scottish, I'm American, but I'm like a coach. Would that be like a horse and buggy coach?
That's what I would think for old school, but I don't know what he's.
maybe.
And thank you, Ted, for being very interactive tonight. I've been definitely reading everything. In Scotland, I had a very big awakening in Scotland. A very, very big awakening in Scotland that shook me to my core. I felt ancestrally, and that's when a lot of things changed for me. Like that place, I recommend, even if you don't have any Scottish blood in you at all, go to Scotland. I got to go in the catacombs under the Royal Mile there in Edinburgh and into Edinburgh Castle and just like, abandoned castles and all kinds of stuff. It was super. We jumped a fence, which you're not supposed to do. Don't encourage that. But it was kind of wobbly, and there was a place that we didn't jump it. We kind of squeezed through it. But it was on the shoreline and everything, and it was just gorgeous. But yeah, Scotland is epically, epically haunted. You had to think about the history of that country. You know, just the heartache and everything. So 4 horses pulling. Okay, that's what I thought. Like a horse and buggy. Okay, a passenger carriage.
Okay.
Oh, keep talking, Ted. I love that. Like I can read your accent.
Yeah, so that, if you can hear that, I mean, that's like, talk about residual energy, right? You actually can hear that if you're in that place. That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So let's talk about your paranormal team. When did your paranormal team start again?
That was in 2010.
Okay.
Yep.
And you've been doing this
we
like 12 years, right?
Yeah, about 12 years now. Yep. And my first investigation was kind of solo at first. My daughter actually was a manager at an apartment building that was haunted. And one of the people moved out because they couldn't take the hauntings anymore. And they were actually really good friends of hers. So she didn't want to tell me anything. She's like, I want you to go and see what you find, and then we'll talk. So I was like, okay, I'll go in. So we went in, and I first just kind of walked around, and I got into the kitchen, and I just intensely felt like something was there. And then I had a K2 meter, and it just started going insane. So I called up my buddy, Steve. I'm like, okay, I'm getting this. What do I do? He's like, well, talk to it. And I'm like, well, what do I say? So then we came back like the next night, I think, with a couple people. And we were getting a lot of interaction with the equipment. And we actually got an EVP of a little girl saying, Neener, 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 you can't catch me.
Oh, that's awesome.
Because we were actually felt it was a child. So we were playing a game at that particular time. So I went to my daughter and I said, okay, well, I think it's a little girl, you know, that's what I can tell you. And she goes, yeah, that's what they see. A little girl come down their hall every night, stands in the kitchen and stares at her. And then things started flying around and flying off the shelves and stuff like that. So then she didn't like that. So that's why she moved. But it was interesting that we were able to validate that it was a child, and, you know, that the people who lived there, that they had seen a girl child too. So yeah, so that was kind of cool. You know, we started out with like a voice recorder, a K2 meter, and one camcorder, and now we own like everything under the sun. So, you know.
What are your favorite pieces of equipment?
I personally love the spirit box. That's just my hands down, because I love the science behind it. And you know, we have like the SB7, the 11, the portal, the S box. I have a Radio Shack hack. I kind of just like my old school Radio Shack hack. I think is the best one for me. Yep, I think that one works the best and stuff. So yeah, it's just those are just some of my favorite things, and just so many different places we've been, so many different experiences that we had. There's just no shadow of a doubt that there is definitely something out there. Definitely.
You know, there's a lot of things. I mean, there's a lot of things I will do and won't do when I'm investigating. Are there any hard no's for you? Like, no, I'm not going to get involved in that.
Well, you know, the other thing we don't do really is, we don't do like any provoking, you know, and then I'm still really against, I won't use a Ouija board. We tried it once at the Boyd house. I don't think we did it right. Plus, I think I was like, please don't work. Please don't work. So we did that, and that is the last time I've ever touched one. But I think that would probably be, mostly provoking is the one, because when we investigate, we like to focus more on their life. So most of the times when you do go to a haunted location, if it's a paid one, you already know how these people have died 9 times out of 10. So we never really say, how'd you die, or that kind of stuff. We're like, what was your favorite thing to do? What was your favorite color? What was your favorite food? What was your, favorite vacation? Places where would you want to go if you never got to go? Just all kinds of stuff. And I think they respond better to that kind of stuff, because like, oh gosh, they're really trying to get to know who I am. So
have you ever asked who's the president of the United States?
Yes, we do. We do. Because I'm like, well, please say somebody I know. And sometimes if you get an answer, I'm like, well, was that a president? I got to look that up. I don't know.
How old is this location? Like, what's the land history before here? I know it's really fun. Like, you get a lot of and I think the most, we want to do it like 99% of the time. It's such a direct, quick answer and an intelligent response really fast. And that's what's one question I really enjoy asking, because it kind of gives me also a picture or a window of what era they're from.
Right. Yep.
Or portraying to be from.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we had one. We were at a place down in Iowa. I can't remember the name, but it was a Civil War type situation. And Teresa was running an Estes, and they were talking about the war. And I said, well, can you tell me what year that was? And I can't remember. I want to say she said 1812. And then we looked it up on the phone. I'm like, go look on your phone. And like, yep, that's the year. So it was exactly,
Awesome?
The year of that. And I think the other one that was really cool with the Estes, we were running something, and the spirit was like, is it, nighttime? I'm like, yeah, it's nighttime. And they're like, so we kind of went back and forth on, day and night and things like that. And then I said, well, what time do you think it is? And they're like, and I said, I don't know. I think it's like a little after midnight. And the spirit goes, no, it's not. It's 12:28. And I was like, look at your phone. And it was like 12:28. I'm like, how do you know that? And they're like, because I just know.
Isn't that exciting though? When
It's so weird. And I'm like, how do they know what time it is?
I wasn't going to tell this, but I'll tell it. With the president question. Okay, I was in Louisiana with David Childers and Stormy Daniels. I was curious. I wanted to go and see what everything was about at the Bonnie and Clyde Museum. And we're all sitting in a circle that night. And I wasn't thinking, and this was like in 2021. And we just got the session started. And I was like, who is the president? And all I hear from Stormy is, thanks. I wasn't thinking. It was like I almost intentionally asked that question. I'm like, no, I ask that all the time. I am so sorry. No disrespect. I'm not judging nobody here tonight. But it's something I'm always going to remember as like my biggest blooper, I think, in the paranormal field. Besides me, well, there's more stories too. We can get that in another show. But that was something I'm just like, who does that? Yeah. But so what do you have coming up next? I mean, what do you see from here on out? What do you want to do next? I mean, you have a location, you have an awesome team, you seem like a great personality. Like, what do you want to do next?
Well, we're going to kind of put traveling a little bit on hold this year. Just everyone's having a little bit of life changes, as far as the team goes. So we're just going to kind of continue our research at Boyd. I think we're just going to do maybe 1 or 2 trips this year. But we're thinking about doing some sort of October event yet. So we're kind of right now just kind of hashing out the details and stuff. So that'll be our first event. And we'll just kind of see how it goes. We talked about it for years, about doing some sort of event, but I'm kind of like one of those that talk but don't really do things. So I think this year, because I'm really excited for it to do something. So we want to do something with like a dinner with the paranormal and have an investigation and stuff. So we're working on doing something for Halloween time for something like that. And we do have, I think, a couple other teams doing like some ghost hunt things coming up, one in May, and I think one in another month, I forget. But they're working on doing some sort of group thing. So we'll see how that works out.
Are you guys open year round? I'm so curious about that because living in the South, everything's out. Even during COVID, everything was wide open. There was no barriers. And I know up north, not only did they shut down for a long time for COVID, but also during the winter months.
Yeah, we are open. So like I said, we have heat, and it's just depending, how brave you want to be to drive through the cold and the snow. But because of where the location is, we're very close to the South Dakota border, and it's very rural. So if it's a really bad winter, they will shut the roads down and you cannot get there.
Right.
So the winter travel, we do actually have quite a few people that do come in the winter, brave souls that they are. And but yeah, we are open year round, and then we have like window air units in the summertime because it gets really, really hot down there. So
yeah, I think the coldest investigation I done was, oh my goodness, it was up in Butte, Montana in January at the Dumas brothel with no heat at all.
oh,
I had layers, and then thermal like coveralls and everything on. I was freezing, but it was so active at night.
yeah,
Great investigation. Highly recommend that location to anyone. Yes, it is a trek. They only have one flight going into Butte, one airline, or two flights, one airline. But when you get there, it's so worth it. But yeah, so it gets really, really cold. So it's cold that you have heat, you have a place for people to stay, as long as they can get down the road to get there. So
right, yeah. And I try to make it comfy. It doesn't have that, oh my God, this is super, super spooky, but in ways it is, because I find weird, spooky artwork and, just little knickknacks. And so, but I kind of make it like a cozy place. We kind of call it like an elegant place to spend the nights with spirits. So
I think the energy there kind of led you down that path. Do you think?
oh, I think so, because it's just kind of the way, like, oh, I think I'm going to do the room this way. Like my husband and I had never wallpapered a day in our life, but I went on to like this old Victorian type wallpaper I wanted to put up. So we just, YouTubed on how to do that. So we got some really cool of the wallpaper. We actually had a psychic that I was talking to once at a convention. He didn't know me. I didn't even really talk to. He doesn't know anything about my house, nothing. And we were just talking. He's like, yeah, I like to go to places and, see what paranormal groups get. And then what I get, we don't collaborate until the end. And I'm like, oh, well, that's cool. Do you do that? Because I'd like to get a read on my house.
Right.
And then it's almost like he locked eyes with me, and it was really weird. But then he started just kind of giving me a read, and everything he said was so accurate. But what I thought was funny, and again, he doesn't know anything about the house or anything I did. He goes, somebody there was wallpapering and didn't really know what they were doing, and the spirits were laughing, and they thought it was really funny. So I was like, oh my God, that was me. So it was like kind of cool that somebody had done that. So yeah.
Oh, Jen's going to give it a second.
Technology.
Well, no, she's messaged me. She's just taking a moment. She'll be right back, though.
Oh, okay.
Breaking the energy for a second. So that's exciting. Like, I want to go to Minnesota now, more than just because the fact that I love the people there from what I've experienced. I want to go there now.
Yeah.
The town. Yeah. And the fact that y'all are open all the time, because I know Minnesota gets cold. So, yeah, she'll be back in a second. She's like, hey, there you are. I was like, she'll be right back after these messages. You good, Jen?
I'm good. So I have this thing, and from last week where physical things happen to me when I pick them up. And so I just want to ask you a question, Jill. This is going to sound so weird. Did somebody choke in that house?
Yeah, there was a little boy that choked.
Oh God, I couldn't breathe. And I had to get off for a minute because as you were talking about it, I was like, that's what I sent Shannon. She's like, are you okay? And I said, somebody choked. I got to have a minute because I couldn't breathe and I was choking. So just picking up the energy of the house as you're talking about it. Last week, it was my leg, huh, Shannon?
Yeah. We even talked after the show. She's like, Channing, fix your leg or your knee because like I'm hurting. No, really, go fix your knee. It's hurting.
Oh, so that was bad. So no, I just choked for a minute, but we're all good.
Oh, little boy.
Yeah, that's too bad.
My son's, 5.5, and I just couldn't imagine Ooh, I couldn't imagine that. I mean, and Jill, like you're, an investigator, and then, Jen, with you being a medium and everything, it's just like there are so many times where we encounter situations that are so hard to endure, to experience what they want us to see, what we know. It's just, there's so many situations, and especially when everything's coming at you at once, it can really hurt, break you down for a second. You got to take a break and get outside of it. So, no, I respect you from that. I noticed when he jumped off, I'm like, no, she's not okay. That's why I asked. Like,
sometimes it just takes me a minute when I'm not talking and expressing it, So, but no, we're all good. Now I'm going to have to go. I'm going to have to put that on my bucket list.
Oh yeah, we'd love to have you out. Was that like people, that have, that more that psychic or that feel like like that I can't experience, and I would love, I don't have that gift, but I like to get their feedback because it's just so interesting, especially if they say something that, I know, but you necessarily don't know, and you said it. So that's a really good validation too.
Yeah, I would love to go. I would love to go in
there.
there.
And I take everything they say too, because I've had some say, oh, there's somebody who wants an elephant. So I raced out and bought a little stuffed elephant, so whether they did it or not, but it's like everything they say, it's like it kind of triggers me to do things more. I love to do things for the spirits at the Boyd house. So, and I always tell them, just tell me what you want, what you need. I'll go get it. I'll do it for you if I can, so.
Wow. I can feel that respect you'll have, the rapport you have at the spirits. And that's what I said. I feel nothing but a really good, positive, let's entertain each other. They want to interact. And I think that's really cool that y'all do that.
Yeah, I love them. They're like family.
Right, exactly.
Do you have, because we're getting close to 7, but do you have a Facebook page, a place where somebody can check it out, a website?
Yeah, you can find us at Boyd House on Facebook, but we also have a website, which is boydhouse217.com. You can go there and check out the website. That also has our calendar of, available dates and all our information about, cost, how to make a reservation, a little bit of history. There's a little video on there. So yeah, just some fun facts on there.
Oh, there it is. Thanks, Shannon.
Do my best.
Here we are. And thank you. I just want to thank you again for coming on.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
For being flexible with us and coming on and sharing your stories with us and your house. I gotta go check it out.
Yeah, I totally enjoyed it. This was very fun.
Yeah, definitely. Like I want to go up there now. Girls trip. I'm just saying. Definitely. Thank you again. Just like Jen said, I appreciate you coming on. It was great chatting with you. I would love to chat again down the road and see what's up and what's new and what different, things have happened and everything. But I think you're a wonderful person, and it was very delightful chatting with you tonight.
Well, thank you. Same to you guys.
Absolutely. Thank you, everybody in the chat. And also, next Thursday, we have Beth back. Beth is doing much better.
Beth will be back.
She's still not out of the woods, but she's doing much better. She's like, no, I'm coming back on. I'm starting the new year off right. So Beth is going to be back. So
good.
Have her, and I'm going to drop the flyer after the show. But thank you, everyone who interacted with us. Thank you, Ted. Thank you, everyone. Like, I really appreciate it. And we will be back. Our normal time is 6 p.m., but we do 7 p.m. if we need to. It's not a big deal. So we can actually alter that. But for the most part, it is going to be 6 p.m. But thank you guys, and we'll see you next Thursday.
See you on Thursday.
And this is where it gets awkward because everything. We talked about this
you
earlier,
can do it, Shannon. You got this.
It's
Good night.